Hello, amigas, and welcome to Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast. I am so excited to have this beautiful soul in front of me. Her name is Roxy Limon, and she is like a badass, kick-ass content creator. And you need to check out her channel, her Instagram, all the things. And it's called All Things Roxy. So that's like super amazing. I love it. I've known her for some time, and I've been following her feed, and just as she is on her feed, she is so amazing in person. So amigas, I am so excited to have her here so she can share everything content creation, amigas, because you know I bring you all the best people here on the podcast. And so, Amiga Roxy, welcome to Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited. I want to say this is maybe my second podcast. So I'm not, used to this like form of content, but I'm from like, the blogging and YouTube world. So this is different and new, but I'm excited. So thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you, Jackie. This is a sweet, treat for me.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that, so some of the stuff that that gets posted here on this podcast is everything that people want to know. And amigas across the globe, because we're heard internationally, they love to hear the various voices that I have here. And now that this episode will be on the month of National Hispanic month, if you will. I'm excited to have you because I know you're Latina, and so we get to talk all things Latina and how that has helped you in your content creation. And so obviously, in order for us to talk about Latiness, we get to find out where you're from and your background and your roots and all those things, because it's so important for the women and the men that listen to this podcast. So amigas, please share with us some background on you and where you're from and your lineage, if you will.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm a fourth generation American. But my mother's from Spain, which we're so excited. Hopefully we can go and visit some of our roots next summer. So we've been here for a while. So my Spanish is like, it's there and I know it, and I'm very, it's not the best. I understand it more than I can speak it. But I'm here, and my dad knows Spanish. My mom is more, they're more Americanized. So again, they've been here fourth generation. So here I am, and trying to teach my little ones as much as I could. But yeah, so but I'm excited. I'm excited to be here and for you guys to go deep and dive into this content creation.
Yes, absolutely. And let me tell you something. Fourth generation, that is a lot of generations. It's almost like the border didn't cross me, but they crossed me. You know what I mean? It's like I didn't cross the border crossed me. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so fun. Okay, so amiga, so now you live in LA. How did that happen? Were you born and raised in Los Angeles? How does this whole background?
LA, yes, born and raised in LA, but I feel like my heart is in Texas. We were in Texas for some time, and the community there, tons of Latinos over there as well. But born and raised here, and just took off for a year there, and so we're kind of like back and forth. But yeah, born and raised in Southern California, been here my whole life. I love the weather. That's why I come back.
Yes, I know. The weather is fantastic here, even though we're going through a heat wave, but that's okay. No pasa nada. All will be well.
Yes.
So, amiga, okay, so when you went to school, is this doing content creation, was that like a dream for you?
Yeah.
Or did they just land on your lap?
No, I've always been one of those, you know, those Latinas that we love fashion, you know, but we do our own DIYs. You know, when I was a kid, I remember just playing with Barbies and making my own dresses, my own everything. And then I would go to school and I had to wear uniform. And I'm like, how can I make this fun? How can I make this, you know, it's boring. White and blue, you know, how can I make this exciting? And I would always get in trouble because, Roxy, you cannot wear that, you know, and I'm like, oh geez. So I've always loved fashion. So when I came out of high school, I'm like, I'm going straight to FITM. FITM is the Fashion Design Institute right here in Los Angeles, and I knew that fashion was my passion. So after FITM, blogging really wasn't a thing, but I did want to share, you know, my outfits and how I was kind of taking these high fashion and making it like very wearable for people in my community, for me, for my friends. How can we make this affordable? So I would find, you know, dresses, whether it was at vintage stores, or online, anywhere I can find these deals, but that had like inspo of like Giuseppe, you know, Zanotti, whatever I was into at the time. I would always find the lower price point and share with my readers. So that's kind of how that happened. But once I had my blog and I was like, oh, I'm getting people, they're reading this, they're listening, and they're excited. I was like, how can I do more? How can I share my personality and not just like verbiage, you know, on a screen? And then I came across YouTube, which brought me into a whole nother realm of content. It wasn't just images and writing. It was, now you have to put a face to all of this. So, which was very nerve-wracking, but nonetheless,
When did that happen?
So
When did that happen?
that was in 2011. So I've been doing this content creation for nearly 13 years now. You know, it now has kind of taken a backseat as, you know, I have other avenues and ventures and you know, motherhood and all the other things. But yeah, 13 years. And but YouTube and blogging were my main source before even Instagram and TikTok, and before any of that became a thing. Blogging and YouTube were my two socials. Yeah.
And is there a process that you take in terms of like, okay, I'm going to build a content YouTube show based on X, or is it based on your life? Like, because I was noticing that, you know, you have YouTube shorts and videos on your pregnancies. And so I'm like, oh, how sweet, like to share all that information. Or is it, you know, it goes with how you are in life, or does it go through what you see in society happening?
No, so if you go back and you do a deep dive of my YouTube, it's all starts before I even had kids. I was in an apartment and I'm filming on the floor. And then, you know, as we get married, we have kids, we move, so it's kind of videos of my life and how it played out. And then through that process, through sharing, you know, my personal life, I would do, you know, sponsored content for various brands. I'm sorry, was that me?
Mm-hmm. That's okay.
Okay. So it's really been a long journey of my life from the start to kind of now. And now that I have kids, you know, once I started getting married, people wanted to see like the process of, you know, planning the wedding. So then I had a short series on my channel of just all things wedding. And then, you know, once I was pregnant, they wanted to see like updates of that. So it's just been like mini short series of my entire journey.
You know, as someone who is doing podcasting and all these things, I'm always baffled by how do you even get started? Like, and sometimes we allow the devils and the details to take over.
Yes.
but sometimes it's very important. And so, as someone, maybe a beginner who doesn't know any of this stuff and wants to be another Roxy, I mean, are there like, you got to hire a production team? Do you need to shoot every day? I mean, those little intricacies, because I know that, like, do you need lighting? Do you need a producer? I mean, all those things. And so I'm sure that financially, it costs a lot of money. As someone who is beginning, what would be like the must-haves in order to shoot a YouTube really wonderful content creation type of video?
Well,
Like, what do you need?
yes, I think, I mean, now in 2024, it's a lot easier to get started. Back when I started, I mean, you definitely needed a camera and a tripod and good lighting. Now, these kids, they have to pick up their phones and they can, they could be in front of a window with good lighting and then just start shooting, or outside. I mean, now content is so fast paced. But when I started, it was very much, I mean, I needed to buy a tripod. I needed an actual camera, a DSLR. I needed a memory card. I needed to, I had big lighting that I just sold this year because I'm like, I haven't brought this thing out in years because now we have all this, natural lighting in our home. So, I mean, if I would say, if anybody that wants to start right now, today, just start. And you can easily start with just picking up your phone. And once you kind of get your niche and you know what you want to do, depending on what that is, okay, do you need a production team? Do you need to hire an editor? At one point when my kids were, smaller and a lot more needier, I had a camera person, I had an editor, I had somebody helping me, a management team, because I just couldn't do it all, right? But I think for anybody right now, it's so easy to just pick up your phone and just start. You don't need all the fancy gadgets until you know what it is you're trying to do, right? If you're trying to do a mini series, a mini docu-series, or film your life, then yes, you will need a tripod, a camera. I mean, you can also use a tripod and your phone. But it's a lot easier today to start because everybody has a cell phone. So essentially everybody has a camera that you could just open up and literally start shooting your life right now. So it's which has obviously, its pros and cons. It has saturated the market, and now everybody, whether you're, I mean, I feel like Instagram is like kind of more our generation, but the younger generation is just using TikTok, and it's just so quick. So yeah, you don't need all the fancy gadgets until I think what you want to do, right?
Yeah,
Even a
yeah.
podcast, like you don't know that you need a microphone and headphones, but you don't know you want to do a podcast until you start, it, and you're like, oh, okay, I need these things. They're very crucial.
I know. Well, when I took this course, it's called the Podcast Accelerator. My girlfriend runs it periodically. I mean, I was like, okay, at the time, I'm like, I'm a lawyer. Like, what the fuck? What am I doing? Like, like, I don't have followers. I don't even know what to talk about. And here I am,
Yeah,
4 years later. I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah,
It just happens, right? You just have to act.
yeah. You have to act. You just have to do it. I mean,
You just,
you just pull out yeah. You just have to get
right?
started.
And so, as I was looking through your feed, and I know you were talking about docu-series, and I feel like, God, it's so nicely produced. That is what you're doing right now. You actually have a team helping you?
When I am shooting content, yes, and I do come up with like these mini series. I think the last one we did was when we were out in Texas. We shot our home remodel, and so I mean it was as simple as hiring a camera person who also just so happened to be really good at editing. And thankfully the lighting was great. We did use certain lighting at times. But and he had a microphone, so it was, I mean, now these camera people, it's like one person comes with the equipment, and you can shoot these amazing videos just on a DSLR. And I mean, it's like high production, looking, with one person. So that
One
was the
person.
last series. I think it was Flip to Stay, and I would believe it was 6 or 8 episodes of us sharing the journey of us remodeling um, our Airbnb.
So, okay. Now the money question comes along.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing this docu series. Yes, you want people to see it, but to make money off of your series, or how does that work out? Because obviously, like, I mean, getting hiring a production crew and doing all the things is like that's money out of your pocket.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you're not doing this for the sake of doing it because you have a brand. So, do you elicit sponsors to help you out
So
with, the expenses behind it all, or do brands like HGTV, just hypothetically speaking, because you did this flip, like, hey, I want to see your content and we're willing to pay you. Is that how it
Well,
goes?
actually,
You know,
HGTV was the goal at the time. They were hiring a lot of creators to do mini series on the website. They have different like networks, like Magnolia Network. You have HGTV. You have all these like networks but they'll be online. And because I'm a face online, it was like kind of that was the platform. So that was the idea to send it. We didn't get chosen to actually be part of the initial, at the end result, to be on HGTV, but that was the idea. Now, it's not like I was forking out a lot of money. Again, it was one camera person. I paid him to edit. I mean, each video maybe like on the low end 300, high end like 500. And then through those videos, we would get sponsorships for various things. So there's tons of ways to make money, right? You have brand sponsorships. Then I have Instagram where people would pay, brands will pay, um, you know, X amount of dollars to put whatever it is that you're doing inside the house, mini clip, 30 seconds on the Instagram feed. And then you get paid through also your views. I mean, there's several ways to get paid as a content creator. There's not just one, and it's not just like one direct way. There's between the sponsorships and the views, and then your other platforms, because there's different brands that will pay specifically just on Instagram, specifically for TikTok, specifically for YouTube. But yes, the idea was to initially be on the HGTV YouTube channel, but unfortunately we didn't get it. It wasn't chosen, so I put it on mine, which still gives me the views. And now I still get brands because people will see that on YouTube and they'll reach out like, hey, can you do, can you promote this mattress at your, Airbnb, whatever, and then they pay you for that. So it wasn't a total loss, but yeah, there's different avenues and different ways to cover the costs.
When speaking about brands, like they are the ones seeking you out. Like at what was your first
Yeah.
engagement with a brand? Because obviously this is most of the women that are listening to this are like so new to this game because I mean AI is doing all this stuff. So
Mhm.
I mean, how can we be relevant and how can we get paid? But I'm wondering, like, I'm sure when you started off, like when you got that first brand sponsorship, can you tell us about that? How did that come about and how that expanded your horizon in brand sponsorships?
Well, it's a funny story because I think a lot of my generation, that when we started, blogging 13 years ago, when we talk about our first brand sponsorship, is nothing what people would imagine, right? I was so happy that somebody was sending me a T-shirt and $20 for me to post a picture on my Instagram feed. I was like, oh my God, I made it. I was like, I'm getting paid to do this? What? I was sharing all this information for free, right? And then when I kept with it, and then and maybe this was maybe like 6 months in, then I got a brand sponsorship where they were gonna give me $500 plus $500 of merchandise on their website, and I just had to share a haul. Like I just had to share, oh, this shirt was from this website, and share that. And then at that point, I was like, oh my God, they're giving me. I'm like, this is $1,000. This is 500 in merchandise. This is 500, sent to me. I'm like, I could do this, So, yeah, you have to start somewhere. And I think no sponsorship is too small, especially for those that are starting. I get so many questions from friends that are on like Instagram that are starting their journey, and they'll ask me like, do you think I should take this brand? I'm like, yes, because you have to start somewhere. And a lot of people, the market is so saturated that if you want a brand to notice you need to start taking the free product. You need to start sharing. And then the first brand to reach out and say, I want to pay you, yes, absolutely, take it all. Until you know your worth, right? Until there's going to be a point where you're like, okay, I'm not taking this deal. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, where I don't just take anything because I don't have time.
Right.
Yeah, but that's kind of that avenue. You just have to pick and choose. You do get to a point where you do start picking and choosing the brand sponsorships that you want.
And I'm sure they're not $20 anymore.
No.
Do you now like price it out as like, okay, this number of views you get a certain amount, or do the companies just give you a percentage off of the product itself?
No, so now I have set prices for each of the platforms. So if somebody wants a YouTube video, that's a certain price. Somebody wants blog posts are not really relevant anymore. But so brands are not really asking for blog posts, but YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, they all come with a different price. And then when you want, there'll be some brands that are like, okay, well, I want one YouTube video plus like 2 stories and links. And then, so everything has a set price. And now I don't even bother. If they're not meeting me where I want, then I'm like, it's not happening.
Oh yeah, that's like handling your shit.
Yeah.
It's like your worth.
Yes.
Yeah, your worth, and this is my price, and if you're not willing to pay it, then bye bye.
Yeah.
But if you are, all right, let's talk. Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, that's important to know. I mean, it's always important to know your worth, and obviously when you're starting off, you still don't really know.
Right.
So bring it. Bring as much as you can to the table, because you don't know, because from one little thing it can branch off to so much.
Well,
and I know that
for sure, that is the thing, and that's the goal is when you get just like you said, if a brand is like, oh, I'm going to send you this for free, and then you do a video and you put all your effort and editing it and post it, and they're like, oh wow, this, and they might pay you the second time. So, and then that's like another way, right? If not everything that I post currently is all sponsored or I'm getting paid for it. If I just post, my makeup routine, I might not be getting paid for it. But then if I'm tagged the brands, these brands see it and then they end up reaching out, and you have your email everywhere plugged in, right? So these brands know how to find your email. They send you an email. It's like sliding in your DMs, but they're sliding into your inbox, and then you put together, whatever it is that they want. And that's kind of how you get started. And even to this day, I still get brands that are like, oh, I saw you, post this on your feed. It's relevant to what we need. Can you do this? And so, at that point you could, sure, yes or no, or
yeah. Or hell no.
Yes.
Right? So, there's, and technology is moving like quick. Like, it always has. And then with AI, and should we, as content creators, do you think you should change what you're doing because of AI, or are you scared of AI, or what are your thoughts?
I don't think it's scary. I think there's always, life is a balance. So we have to know how to use AI to our advantage and then how to not use it, right? So there's so much you can do. For example, like in our household, we're a huge chat GPT family. Like we do chat GPT for everything. Like if I want this email more professional, chat GPT help me out. If I have a book club, I'm like, chat GPT, I need a poem to, send out, and it helps you. So you could definitely use all of the technology to your advantage. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at the end of the day. But as a content creator, you do need to show face. You need to show personality. You need to show like who you are, what you do. So, but yeah, everything on the back end, emails and all that stuff. Yeah, why not? I say sure.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, use it to your advantage. Absolutely. I think it's important. I use it on a lot of things. Amigas out there, I do. But again, I also use my little brain,
Yeah, for sure.
um, my logic in there, and my creativity, which I use now more so than before, which is so fun. And I love this space of creativity. So, amigas, so here's the thing, amiga. I would love for you to share, where can people find you?
So you can find me on all the platforms. Instagram, it's just Roxy Limon. TikTok, Roxy Limon 2. YouTube. My blog posts are still very much live. However, I have not used that in years, I think. But all the content, it's there. If you just Google me, I mean, it's all there. I was also a stylist on a show. So you'll even find, I mean, tons of stuff. There's a plethora of ways. Now, Google, you could just put anybody's name and it just gives you all the information, which is kind of scary, but
Yeah.
it's there for
Oh, I know.
everybody.
Well, even where you live,
Yeah,
that's the part I'm like, oh, ho, 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 no, no, no.
yeah,
We don't want anybody coming to your doorstep and be like, hey,
yeah,
hi.
yeah. Right.
I'm your crazy stalker here in front of you. No, no, no. We don't want that.
No.
So, amiga, before we end our conversation here, I always ask amigas to provide one or two tips on how she can handle her shit. So,
Yeah.
what say you?
So, my two tips, I think it's always always being two steps ahead of the trends, right? So you, as a content creator, you have to kind of see where trends are going, where we're moving in with AI, with technology. And I kind of saw this during COVID, and I was like, man, I need when, everything halted, I was like, what am I going to do with my family? What are we going to do? I'm like, I'm going to take the money that we made, during this content creation. That was just like, side money that I was just putting to the side. And I'm like, we're going to have our plan B is we're going to go to Texas. We're going to build this house. We're going to have an Airbnb. We're going to now make this like, everything is halted here, in California. We need to constantly move forward because once this is done and this is over, we still need the ball's still rolling. So I think always having a plan B and C and looking ahead to see where, where we're going, right? And this could be in any career, not just content creation, but if you're a realtor, you're not just, being a realtor, but you own property, there's always more that you can do to make sure that you are staying two steps ahead and just making sure that, you're good. Your family dynamic, everybody is good. Yeah, so plan and look at try to foresee what the future is gonna have with content creation and how it's moving. Whether it's TikTok, AI, the next apps, what's coming out, and just plan for that and be ahead and be aware and have a plan B always because.
Yeah.
In any career, I think everybody should always know what they're going to do next.
Right, right, right. Exactly. So what's next for Roxy?
I don't know. I think now we're going into this. Well, I do know. Now I'm kind of like taking a back seat as a content creator, and I'm not sharing as much. Right? I have a big busy schedule with my 2 little ones, and but really looking at to now what I have a passion for besides fashion and content creation. I love design. I love home design. So, we spoke a little bit about our Airbnb. We have a property here. So just really now diving into investments and looking again at the future with Airbnb, with all these other things that are happening. So I think, it's not an easy, straight answer what's happening for Roxy necessarily, but definitely looking at the future to see some possibilities with other Airbnbs, since I am taking a back seat.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I always say it's so important to, have a respite, like take a little bit, pause to reflect and to look and see like, okay, where I'm going next.
Yes.
And living in the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have 2 young little ones.
Oh, yes.
And that's a lot of time going to their little sports things, and then your family time and your friendship time. And so that really does require a lot of time, for sure, for sure.
Time and energy, yes.
A lot of time and energy. So, Roxy, is there anything you'd like my audience to know that we haven't spoken about?
No, I don't think so. Did you have any other questions?
I think you're like really on it, and I feel like we've covered a lot of things, and the beginning Roxy and the after Roxy, which is what I wanted, and I'm so happy that you came to share all this enormous amount of information, because it's so important. And for those content future creators, they now know where to go.
Yeah.
Because before it's like, I don't even know how to start. Like, what do I do?
Yeah. Just get started.
Right? Get started. Get started. Go look up at Roxy's website, All Things Roxy, and you'll see everything there. And it'll just at least inspire you and get started on this trajectory if you want to be a content creator. Right, Roxy?
Yes.
Well, I'm so grateful that you're here, Roxy. Thank you so much for your time, and I know I'll be seeing you very soon.
Yes, thank you so much. It was a pleasure of mine to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And yeah, I look forward to the future, and I can't wait to listen.
Yay! Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast.
Thank you.